Hey everyone, welcome to Half Better, the Pod Tower podcast.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Pod Tower podcast. We've been putting that in the things, and it's in the stream title. You don't like Pod Tower?
I didn't use it last week when you weren't here. We just went fully rogue.
Shouldn't it be Pod on the Clockcast?
Yes, I like that.
That sounds like that could go wrong very quickly.
Really? You could practice it, right? Pod on the Clockcast, Pod on the Clockcast, Pod on the Clockcast. See?
Oh, I see. Cockcast.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the Pod Tower.
Welcome anyway to Half Better. Today we're going to be ranking the outsiders.
We're not ranking the outsiders.
Today we're going to be ranking the experimentals A through Z, starting with the Acrobat. Who wants to take us away and read the Acrobat out loud? Hayley, you take us away and read the Acrobat out loud because you've been talking a lot, so I'm guessing you're ready for this.
No, I need to.
No? What a f***ing shock you're not ready.
I need to find the wiki.
Hell.
Each night, asterisk, if either good living neighbor is drunk or poisoned, you die.
You know, I'm kind of feeling drunk right now. So, Hayley, could you just
What?
Die?
I literally.
Based on the way that we measure outsiders, it's probably not going to terrify many evil teams. In fact, it would probably, I'm pretty happy to see it on the script, or actually, it would make evil team pretty sad to see it on the script because it can be confirmed easily by a lot of good players. So you have this kind of outsider that acts sort of like a virgin in a lot of cases because it specifically says good living neighbors. There's a lot of people that can control drunkenness on the good side. If you got a sailor or a philosopher, or like we saw in one script recently, a goon. A goon can act in that capacity. Of course, in that case, there wasn't really an acrobat. It was something like that. It was a Jams. I think Jams or somebody was bluffing acrobat. It was a tough bluff. Ended up kind of calling them out for it. So,
you know, that is a really good point. I like the Acrobat, and I think it needs to have more scripts built around it. But it is a very good point that it is not an easy evil bluff. It is not an easy evil bluff at all, especially on a script where it could be hard confirmed. Although, does that now, where we haven't played with the Acrobat enough, we haven't seen that meta created where evil just poisons the Acrobat to make them look sus.
You would have to have more instances of of people relying on that information for them to be disappointed when it doesn't happen. Of course, they were also confirmed. That Acrobat was confirmed by the outsider count. So it's a tough one. I think unless you have a script like you're talking about built around it, which would be, I think, a Puka and a Poisoner would be very standout ones. Nodashi would be bad.
It kind of does, but it depends how far that poison's jumped. It can travel a fair amount, the Nodashi poison in some games. I love it when a Nodashi poison goes through multiple players. It makes me so happy.
I think the Acrobat could be more interesting as a role if I were reworking it, which is not the premise of this particular episode.
And why are you doing it?
If I were thinking about it, well, because it's my show too. I would probably just take out the word good, right? So if their living neighbor is poisoned, I think that would make it a lot better for the evil team because then the widow could self-poison, the marionette would bounce off of it and affect them, could do other different things that would make it less useful for the good team and still provide some of what it does as an information role. But I wouldn't put it, unfortunately, based on the premise that Jack was operating on, I think the Acrobat probably has to fall in the B tier at best. I really like it a lot. I wish it were changed a little bit, and I'd like to see more scripts around it. But at this point, it's too difficult to do anything with. You have to build around it specifically, like you're talking about.
You're right, and I guess if we do use the Jack measuring stick, it probably does need to be B. As much as I would like to see it A, because I have this vision. I haven't created it. I just have this vision of like this excellent script built around the Acrobat. But it's as it doesn't exist yet. I guess I can't prove to you that it is definitely worth being higher than a B.
Next up is the Alchemist.
I'm not even gonna look. You have a not in play minions ability.
I don't have a ton of experience with all of these experimental roles, but so all of my comments are probably just going to be on face value, unless it's something that I've played personally a lot. I'm not really a script builder. Like, that's not my jam at all. I like to play the game and I like to run scripts that make sense to me.
Alchemist is definitely on one of my custom scripts, Hayley. So you've definitely been in games with it. I don't know if you've ever played it though.
No, I haven't ever played it. I guess I can see what you're saying, that it could be devastating to town to have a minion ability, but I guess I'm just never really particularly interested in being a minion. So for me, I don't particularly care about having a minion ability. Like, I want to be the demon or I want to be town.
Those are your two choices.
I want to be
Demon or
trouble
town?
brewing and I want to be town. I want to be trouble brewing and I want to be town. That's it for Bailey.
No, demon or town. Like, I don't.
I think the Alchemist is actually wildly overpowered. No offense to my co-host. It actually unbalances most games that it's in. That's why the only scripts I've ever put it on are ones with Legion as a possibility, because it if you have it as like if you have and it matters what minion abilities you have on the script, right? Because it's telling you that. It tells you what minion is not in play. First of all, it gives you that ability if it's not something passive like a Baron. And some people would be like, "Oh, I'm the Alchemist Baron. That kind of sucks." But you now all of a sudden you know that there's two more outsiders in play. You can rely on them. You can trust them. All that kind of stuff. But most of the other minion abilities can end the game in the night a lot of times, which is not very satisfying. Adam getting the opportunity to do that as a Godfather. I think most people waking up and being like, "Yeah, this one player just kind of killed the demon, and that was it." I don't think that's very satisfying. It's probably satisfying once for the player who did it, but it's less dramatic or impactful than a Slayer, because you get to see that. There's this whole, public showing of things where it's just like, I just used my assassin ability on, John over there, and oh, okay, great. Well, I guess we'll wake up. That kind of thing. So I don't know. I think the Alchemist really needs, once again, it's another one of those roles where if you tried to plug it into a lot of scripts, it's gonna it's overtuned. It's gonna work too much for town, and you're not gonna have very satisfying experience. That's what I've seen from running it and playing it and seeing it played on streams.
I'm gonna say, as I look through the experimental character list, I think we could say that about 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at maybe 8 and 9 of them. You wouldn't be able to say that about. Like all of the other ones on the wrong script, if it's not set up right, if it's not built with this character in mind, it could potentially mess up the script, right? Al-Hadik could do that. Atheist can do that. Balloonist can do that. Bounty Hunter could, like, a lot of them could just completely mess up the script if it is not built right with that character in mind. So I'm just saying that, right? I think we do need to step back and go, is that a fair thing to compare it to right now? Because you're right, the Alchemist could absolutely destroy a script, but it can also, with the right script, completely give you something completely different to what you would normally get to experience, and can be a lot of fun. I love the idea of the Alchemist pit hacking, Serenovusing, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. I love all that aspect of fear mongering, goblining. I love it with all of these things, right? Like the Alchemist with those options out there, I think is a lot of fun.
But what is the benefit of Serenovusing when you're a townsfolk? Like, you want people to be telling the truth. The way that you win the game as townsfolk is with the truth.
Well, there's a few things you can do. You can hard confirm yourself as, hey, I was the Serenovus, so even the Serenovus is gone because, hey, I just popped, right? And that also makes it a great evil bluff, because I could, like, hey, you're the Baron, let me just Serenovus you. You break it. You come out as the Alchemist saying you were the Serenovus, and now I'm just going to hard stunlock someone else for the rest of the game. It's going to there's just options in there for you to do it with a Serenovus as a bluff. But as for a good town having it, if you figure out who an evil player is, you could hard stunlock them as something, right? You can lock them in, Serenovus mad them for the rest of the game as something else they don't want to be bluffing as. That isn't going to allow them to have an impact on the game of what information is out there. You think about, I'm pretty sure Ed's evil. I'm going to just lock Ed in as the X. And I know he's going to be something more important, like, or whatever. Or I know Ed's good. I can lock him in, as confirming his role. I don't know. Whatever you want to do with it, there are options out there with the Serenovus for you to do it.
I think, to Hayley's point, you see a lot of Serenovuses on Alchemist scripts because of the pairings. That is the least, that tips the balance towards town the least. It's fun, I guess. It's a novelty, I guess. And for some people, that's what they need. They need that new edge of their seat experience in their Clocktower. I've solved all the fucking mysteries. I've figured out all the roles. I've bluffed all the things. And now I must just mess with people all game. I think the pit hag, though, a pit hag alchemist could basically just go around and make town all types of different things if they trusted you. If people get confirmed, now I'm going to turn you into this, I'm going to turn you into that. It could level evil. Oh, I'm going to turn somebody that we think is evil into an outsider. Just leave them there. You know, they're kind of out of luck. So a lot of those combinations, if you turn the demon into anything else, then the game's just over. You know, I mean, so I don't know. I think it's fun for a second, and then I've been watching a lot of stuff about that WeWork company. It seems a little bit like that. Like people get carried away. They get sucked into the charisma of the alchemist, and then they look at the balance sheet and they go, "Oh, it's losing more money than it's getting. That doesn't really work."
You just have a hatred for pit hag, full stop. So anything that could potentially be the pit hag, you're instantly go, "Nope, this could not be good. This is not good. It could be the pit hag."
All I'm looking at it. Not to make it about the pit hag, but all I'm looking at from the pit hag's perspective is when your minion goes rogue and they're playing a different mini game from the demon. That's not good for your evil team.
Well, you've just described the alchemist in one fell swoop. Then
I do. I think the alchemist is a little bit of a glory hound. It's a little bit of an attention hog type of role. Right? I think it sucks up all the energy in the room. That's my impression of it.
So where do you think, by the base of what you're saying, I'm guessing you're thinking B or maybe C?
I'm saying C, personally.
Based on power level, I couldn't make it a C. I would think it falls into a lot of the roles where it's hard to, it takes a specific instance. So I think that falls into a B for me. It doesn't have the kind of durability or flexibility, I guess, to make it into A for me. That's my opinion. It's very powerful. I'm sure chat's saying, "Oh, it's very powerful."
They're giving examples of where it will work. Serenovus in Lock a Psychopath that's been outed. They're saying, how about an Alchemist DA? Like that can be a lot of fun out there that isn't too breaking. They're giving examples out there of how it works, but I think it's an A. Hayley thinks it's a C. You think it's a B. So B it goes.
What it would work with, it would, if you wanted to add an extra evil to your starting setup, you can make them in the Mecephalese. We played it with a witch. That was once again a Legion script. So the idea was if the witch killed a demon, cool. Alchemist DA could be fun. But I think you get into certain situations and it gets a little out of hand. This is the Al-Hadik. Each night, asterisk, choose 3 players. All players learn who. Each silently chooses to live or die, but if all live, all die.
If I get to pick a demon I get to be in the game, I don't know how high Al-Hadik would go on that list.
It's fun to watch.
Sure, but it is also taking away my emphasis and control as the demon, and that is the only downside I can give to it. I don't think it's a good bluff for evil. It creates a fun mini game. It's a interesting character, it changes the dynamic, allows you to potentially kill 3 players at night, but it removes the control of who dies from evil's hands. Is that enough to drop it from an S to an A? I don't know. But I think it's a lot of fun to watch. I think it's a lot of fun to be, let's step that back. I think it's a lot of fun to be part of a game with an Al-Hadik. It still allows you to create that and figure out that little mini puzzle about which 3 should I pick? Which 3 are most likely to all say yes to live? But on a lot of occasions, I don't get to kill necessarily the person I want to kill.
There's so much psychology in being the Al-Hadik, right? There's what order do I name these people in? Because they are responding to the people that came before them. If I'm first on the list, I have to make a decision with very little information. Whereas, now I'm thinking about what did Patters choose? What did Adam choose to do? What did Hayley choose to do? And that makes a difference in what I'm going to do when I choose live or die for a lot of players. So we've seen instances where, so you can hear Adam's kind of play style in his voice. Who do I think is going to all choose live? Because that's Adam's like, I'm choosing to live, of course. But one of the interesting games we played on stream with the Al-Hadik, all 3 players were like, you know what? I'm not as important a role. I should just choose to die here, that kind of thing. And I'm going to choose die. And there was a 3-death Al-Hadik night on that basis, right? And if you put roles in the script where they might want to die, like a king who thinks they have a choir boy, a raven keeper, things like that, then people will jump on that opportunity a lot of the times. So it really takes the demon getting a sense of what players are claiming, right? So that they can get in there and make those types of judgment calls in that prisoner's dilemma that they're setting up.
Yeah, I can agree with pretty much everything you just said, Ty. My stance, though, is that I will always pick Liv. If I am a noble or something, I've already got my information, I will happily pick Die on the hope that I get picked again and then can choose Liv, but and see what information I get. But, or if I've used my ability like a Slayer or whatever. I guess it does create an interesting dynamic. A person who's just claimed Slayer as an al-hadik, do I now pick them? I don't know. It creates an interesting dynamic. Hayley, I don't think we've played a game.
No, we haven't. But one of the World Cup games on the weekends that we streamed was Al-Hadik.
And also last Friday, the video that went up on YouTube was an al-hadik.
Yes, that video was with the thumbnail. But it was really fun to watch. And from a storyteller perspective, I think it could be fun to run with just because of the quantity of people you have to wake up and seeing all of their different choices. And that's one of the things I like the most about being a storyteller is people's faces as they run through the decisions silently at night, like agonizing quietly. It's just wonderful to me.
Hayley likes seeing pain on faces.
I think it's really fun to watch. I don't know how fun it is to play. It does take away some agency.
I will speak against it since it's also my favorite. So I feel like I need to do some due diligence here. It doesn't have very much mobility. What we saw with the al-hadik in the past game, and I've seen it some other times, it's swingy. So if the demon cultivates a very good bluff, they can really control what's going on in the game. It can be tilted very heavily towards the evil team. But if they play on the edge at all, like you might play if you were the imp or the fangu, or you just get caught out in some way, it's hard to come back from that. And that's really the difference. And once again, like you said, if you really need to eliminate a certain piece of information from the game, like it's vital to you to do so, well, you probably can't unless you set up the right circumstances, maybe choose your minions and then let them burst up into flames too, so you get 3 lives. That might be the only way you can guarantee that those players are gone. So the Al-Hadik and the Scarlet Woman is an incredibly strong pairing because you can do that. I think you should probably jinx the Scarlet Woman to where it can only activate once per game, even if it's resurrected.
I really thought that was going to be the jinx.
Yeah. It's not listed that way, and we didn't run it that way, and it worked out really well for the evil team there. So.
All right. So where are you saying, Ty? Does it go anywhere out of the nest for you?
I love it so much. I really do. I think just from my own heart and from the way it plays, I would put it in an S. So this
demon is the closest demon I can think of there is to a puzzle, like to one of those solution players that you and I are not generic, like by default. It feels like the demon that they would love the most to me, right? The puzzle creation. Who do I pick? Who do I figure out? Like, what information do I have? Who do I think is going to choose live and death? So it feels like it's close to them, but I think I can't put it anywhere other than this either, really. Yeah. As much as I hate those people.
Well, see, now we can make a real social puzzle for them too, right? So it's less Sudoku and more like I'm trying to think around corners. I'm trying to outthink you. Oh, you thought I was going to do this. Well, I'm really doing this, and I'm making you believe this. I don't know. It feels very double feinty to me, and I really love it.
So up next, chat, is the best evil character to have in the game. The absolute best, in my opinion. Do you guys want to guess and want to say which one it is?
Hey.
They got it.
Rishi nailing it.
The Amnesiac.
Amnesiac. You do not know what your ability is. Each day, privately guess what it is. You learn how accurate you are. Freaking love an Amnesiac.
Amnesiac is the best, but I went first last time. Someone else needs to talk. Something like that. I guess the only person left is you, Tyler. What do you think about the Amni?
I've made my thoughts known about the Amnesiac as a thing that gets put on a lot of custom scripts. It feels like sometimes the script writer has lost the thread of what they wanted to do, and so they're just like, I don't know, figure it out. That's what the Amnesiac feels like to me. I have seen some interesting Amnesiac abilities. I've seen some really boring Amnesiac abilities, and I've seen some Amnesiac abilities that makes people want to apparently throw their computer screens. I think that was something that people said after, one specific pre-setup Amnesiac ability.
Those people need to get a grip.
Those people. But I feel like it can be neat. When you have a solid idea, if you don't have an idea, take it out of the bag. If you don't know what you want to do with it, don't put it in there. But if you're forced to by World Cup rule,
you can still make changes, Ty. You don't have to go with exactly what it comes out of the bag. All right, Amnesiac, the single best fucking character ever made. And what we don't see enough of, my turn to talk. What we don't see enough of is evil Amnesiacs. Evil Amnesiacs are the best thing that it could ever possibly be. My favorite Amnesiac ability, and I've been waiting to do this on stream, so I probably shouldn't say this. My favorite ability to give an evil Amnesiac is you wake up each night, point at a player. The demon learns what their character is. The demon each night is getting to learn a character in play, but not necessarily who the player is. So that demon and Amnesiac need to figure out who each other are and trust each other, right? And it's also one of the things I love doing most is often I never see an Amnesiac being touched, right? Town don't execute Amnesiacs really. Evil players don't execute Amnesiacs really. We need to get Amnesiacs getting killed more often, and by making them evil more often is going to help that happen, chat. So if you're a storyteller out there, help me break this meta.
I wish I'd have been killed early with one Amnesiac ability I got. I wish I'd have been put out of my misery. I was a waste of space. Kill me now. I rarely say that with any ability, but I was so clueless. You know, that's really the thing that you have to balance is like between making it too easy to guess, making it too powerful, making it not powerful enough. One bonus, though, if you are one of our players, you should always watch the VOD to these tier list videos because you'll get to see what things that Adam will subject you to.
I think that is a great idea. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love being an Amnesiac. In fact, I think of all the experimental roles, Amnesiac's probably the one I've been the most, and I love it every single time. Giving me a little mini game to work out, like between me and the storyteller. I can choose when I tell town. Like, I like having it on a script for evil to bluff as and see what kind of bullshit they come up with. Like, it's just brilliant. It's beautiful. Giving the storyteller that kind of control and agency, like, storytellers are players too, right? They are playing the game with you. So giving them something to play with, like actively, is beautiful.
And you know, Tyler, going back to the thing where you said about, I don't know what the point of the script is, like, or I've lost the focus of the script when I add an Amnesiac. I used to add an Amnesiac on the script to replace certain things like, I don't have any protection on the script. I'm going to add an Amnesiac thinking normally when I add an Amnesiac into this game, it's going to be there to add some protection just to mess with it, right? I felt like it needed it. That Amnesiac can be anything you think that script's weak on, right? I mean, you do have to change it up. You can't run it 4 games in a row of just having the Monk's ability or the Monk Plus ability, whatever you want to refer to that, because it should have a slightly better than normal Townsfolk ability. So that's my thought on the Amnesiac. That Amnesiac can fill a gap for you. You can make it do anything you want. It helps you figure out where's missing on your script, helps you balance it out, helps you do anything. And that's why that on top of bounty huntering to make an Amnesiac evil is just, the best thing. Bounty huntering an Amnesiac so that and then telling them, and on a game where there's a leech, so the bounty hunter only ever gets the leech and never gets to find out that the Amnesiac's evil. Fucking love it. Love it. I love it. I love all this chaos are the things I want directed in my games. Thank you.
That's his meat and drink, Adam. All right, where are we going to put it on the list? I think Adam's going to put it at an S.
You're right. I am.
For me, it really is.
Well, I guess I'll be outvoted then, and I'll go in S. But I would like to speak for the players, like some of our like Trisha in the game with the Amnesiac ability. I don't think she was enjoying the experience of it. I mean, she wasn't having a bad time, but that puzzle is not fun for everybody. No, and when you are totally lost, and then by the way, you got poisoned. And so now you got to ask your question and you have nothing, which is what happened to me in a stream game.
You just bingo it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to guess I guess my ability was how many A's were in the role name. And I have no clue what's going on. So I think that can be the downfall of it. Right. And it was like, to me, it's the same argument in case as when we were talking about the Savant. Y'all have a very different opinion of the Savant, I guess, from experience. But I feel like the Amnesiac is basically the Savant plus some, because it can really throw the game out of whack if not handled properly. But I think, I mean, because there's 2 of 3 people saying that they want it in the S and they love it so much, and there's a lot of people that they're voicing for love it. I guess it has to go in S. I wouldn't put it higher than A myself personally.
So here's the thing.
I mean,
sorry, Hayley. Here's the thing. What you just said, Tyler. If you ever have an amnesiac that's poisoned, give them a bingo. And people, if you're an amnesiac and you get a bingo, make sure the next day you walk up and ask that same question to see if you get a different answer. Right? It's not just like you get to ask a question every time until you get a bingo. You get to keep asking, and that'll tell you if you're drunk, poisoned, or whatever else. And the storyteller at some point is going to be nice to you and tell you. Right? At some point, they're going to balance it out for you.
The 2 best storytellers in the history of Clocktower, they did not give me a bingo. I'll tell you that. So
I didn't give you a bingo?
That was Steve and Evan.
Oh, so that's your best then.
So Tapir made a good point in chat. I wish Amni questions couldn't be poisoned. I like that. Like, if you poison
the
ability, not the questions that are asked.
Well, no, the artist can be poisoned. So the artist is asked the question, gets a yes or no. They can be poisoned.
They're talking about the question about the ability.
Yes, the question about the ability, not the ability itself. Like, it's otherwise impossible to figure out as an amnesia, or not impossible if you do get a good storyteller that gives you bingos. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the only way to figure out if your ability is poisoned. It's not like you can rely on town to help you figure out that your information is poisoned, right? So you have to have something else built into that. Yeah, but otherwise, super good.
Chat.
And those people that don't like puzzle solving, like, I'm not a mad puzzle solver either. I play a much more social game, but I still love it. I don't know. Like, I don't need to solve it to enjoy it. I just like the mystery of what's not going on. The mystery of not knowing what is going on.
I think it's a little storyteller dependent on knowing your players as well, to come up with an ability that is beneficial for them to be able to figure out, not necessarily, and also good for town. Not necessarily is it always going to be figured out. You got to keep that in mind. The amnesiac is not supposed to always be figured out. You got to remember that when it was created, the goal of the amnesiac was never to be 100% figured out. It's you're supposed to get close. You're supposed to give them something that allows them to get close so they can try and put together a puzzle, but it's still not supposed to be a perfect information. But it's also supposed to be very good for town. So I will often, if I think I've got a player in there that isn't going to like the puzzle, I'm going to give them like an ability that isn't something they have to proactively work with, right? Something I have to pick 3 players and I get a C, right? Like I'm not gonna do that sort of thing to them to give them a hard puzzle to figure out if they don't like to figure those sorts of things out. So why Jam's got this +2 snake charmers.
What they want.
Yeah, you just gonna give us something that modifies setup and pisses everybody off instead.
Except for Jams. It didn't piss off Jams.
Yeah.
It didn't piss off the amnesiac in that case. All right, so where are we gonna put it? I know y'all are leaning towards S. Chat is with me on this.
Surprisingly.
Rare that I say that.
Chat is.
I mean, we could pull it down to an A because
Chat is wrong.
It's very, for me, objectively.
No,
Adam.
No, chat is wrong. Chat. You've always had terrible storytellers. Go away and tell all your storytellers I said that because they haven't given you an amnesiac ability that is fun for you.
I just think you should feel the same way about this that you should feel about that you do
Artist.
feel about the savant.
Okay.
That you feel about the savant.
Yeah, you're right. It is a downside.
You should feel the exact same way that you did before.
Don't tell me how to feel.
Okay, I won't.
No, but in all seriousness,
I won't tell you how to feel loved and special or anything like that ever again.
It is.
But you should. Anyway,
we got
to grade this because we're running out of time.
It's fair. I'll put it in A. It's fair because you're right. Like Savant, and I've just said it, you've got just terrible storytellers out there, like Capelli, like Ed, that don't know how to run. Amnesiac is going to be a terrible experience for you.